Yeah.
Yep.
What is going on, folks? Will Turbin here. Fake Mike. Oh, damn it. Real news. What's going on, guys? Share this feed. This is going to be an epic feed here. Smash the like. Massive respect to everybody out in the UK. Guys, today is a big video. We got James Freeman in the house, Auditing America in the house, two legends, and then you got me and CPR audits. So, hey. Yep. Whatever. But hey, we're here with two legends. These guys have changed the face of history. Literally changed the face of history in a whole huge way. So thank you guys all for joining us. I've been trying to get in touch with these guys for a long time. And I will say shout outs to Anarchic Chick because she also came up with my name and got me in touch with James Freeman. So that's awesome. All right, yeah, guys, share this feed. What's up, guys? What's up, guys, in the chat? All right, first of all, everybody here knows Auditing America. Everybody knows CPR audits. If you're not subscribed to both of these gentlemen, please do. But James, we all know the origin story of Batman and Spider-Man, but what is the origin story of James Freeman?
The origin story of James Freeman. All right, well, James Freeman is a fake name for me. So it's... So James Freeman was born at a certain time, and let's see, the origin of it. I got sick and tired of government picking on me all the time about petty, stupid crap, and I thought that it would be fun to just flip it around and constantly go after government and show up to their place of work and pick on them the same way that they pick on people, constantly, you know, paying attention to petty little crap. You didn't mow your lawn. It's your lawn's too long. You can't have this car in your front yard. You know, all those petty little things. I've owned businesses since I was 19 years old. So I've constantly been dealing with government hassling me about little things. And I just figured, you know, it's not my nature to go out and walk into a building where I've got no business other than to record. And, you know, it just wasn't in my nature. But after them screwing with me over petty stuff over and over and over again, I said, you know what? Let's flip it around. See how you like it.
Well, see, that's interesting to me, James. Continue. But I think that's interesting because
no, go on.
Usually when I meet a lot of different people, you know, I've been doing this for a while, and I interview a lot of people. And one of the common themes, the most prevalent theme, I think, is people say, well, I asked, well, how did you get involved with Child Protective Services? Or did you become an advocate for freedom of medical choice? And it's usually because their son or daughter was injured. And it's usually a very big situation. But it's interesting. The first time I've got the answer where it's just incrementalism, where it's like they're like 1,000 mosquito bites. And that's interesting because I think that's an interesting way that I think other people are slowly getting woken up by that. That's very cool. But continue.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and that's, you know, a lot of people talk about, you know, oh, well, this fight isn't worth it or that fight isn't worth it. And that's the thing, is that they're taking away liberty incrementally with petty little things, one after another, you know, and it does add up. And so that's why I think it's important that's why I fight the little things too. But, you know, there was a number of different things that kind of all brought it all together. I lived in a place out in Rowlett, Texas, and we had a 5-bedroom house on an acre right next door. I mean, right next door to a big apartment complex. And on the other side was duplexes. It was a pretty crappy house, but in that neighborhood, we were kind of the haves within a community of have-nots, even though we still didn't have much, you know? And so we kept getting robbed all the time, windows broken out. And so one time, a long time ago, I was still a statist, and I made the mistake of calling the police when some people had trespassed on my property and were headed back to my garage, where we kept getting equipment stolen out of. And the police showed up, and it turned out that those guys had also called the cops and said that I came out and pointed a gun at them. I've got security cameras all around, so I could prove that I did not point a gun at them. But the police showed up. In Rowlett, I think there was 11 officers on duty in the whole city at the time. All 11 officers showed up, held me at gunpoint, brought me to my knees on my own property.
That's a perfect demonstration of government in action right there, right? There's a whole list of cold cases, rape kits, you know, the bagged wizard guys, but let's have the entire force show up to somebody's house for a trespass. I mean, even if you did have a gun, Adam,
Yep.
you're on your own damn property.
Right. And man, my signal is garbage. Okay. Yeah, right. And you know, I was still a statist and a bootlicker at the time. I really was. And so I was, you know, after it happened, I was like, man, that was fucked up. Like that, I mean, messed up. Sorry. That was the first time I've ever in the history of my life stared down the barrel of a gun with a guy with his finger on the trigger. I have never looked down the barrel of a gun like that before and actually thought, holy shit, this is it over this. And I tried to rationalize it over the next couple of weeks. You know, I was like, oh, well, they were just doing their job and this is what they heard. And, you know, they just had this to go on. And really what it came down to is I realized, you know, this was actually genuinely my fault because I called the police. And that was my fuck up. It's my responsibility to take care of my family, my life, my liberty, and my property, and nobody else's. And the problem that I had, where I ran into problems, is that I expected somebody else to take care of that for me. And that I'm pretty grateful for that event because that broke me out of that ignorant state of mind of thinking that somebody else is going to be able to take care of me and my family.
Well, let me ask you a follow-up to that real quick, because for me, it was a little different. Like I've been down the rabbit hole, so to speak, for 15, 16 years now. And I was throughout that always a statist. I was a statist. I didn't love the cops by any stretch of the imagination, but I was a Ron Paul libertarian. And the idea never really entered my head that, well, you just have to have government. It's like a law of nature, right? So was that immediate for you, or was that something that kind of built on you on a trail that, like, hey, you know, actually the government isn't actually necessary to do anything like this?
For me, that built over time. It certainly wasn't overnight. And for me, the trip to voluntarism actually started with, my memory is pretty garbage, but it started with an election season. And gosh, it was Obama versus, I don't remember who.
Romney? Mitt Romney?
Yeah. I think it might have been. It might have been that election season. And I was listening to Glenn Beck at the time. I was a right-winger at the time. And I was listening to Glenn Beck. And I was having the same exact feelings as he was at the time about, oh, man, the GOP is total crap. These guys are full of crap. And he started saying that. And then one day he says, you know what? That's it. I'm done with the GOP. And I was like, yes, Glenn, I was thinking the same thing. Now, where do we go from here? Now, where do we go? Because, of course, I'm looking for a new leader now. I'm looking for a new master, right? And then, you know, 2 weeks later, Glenn Beck turned back around and said, oh, you know what? I prayed to God, and God told me that Ted Cruz is right for our country. And I was like, well, that sounds like a crock of shit to me. So, I don't know what God he prayed to, but anyways, so it was after that I started looking. I was like, all right, where do I go from here? And some friends introduced me to some libertarian ideas, introduced me to the non-aggression principle. And it was really over time of taking what I understood about the non-aggression principle and it being wrong to initiate force against someone else and trying to apply it to each and every aspect of my life. And little by little saying, okay, well, you know, this thing that I used to think was okay to do, wait a second, it's actually violating somebody else's consent. And, you know, little by little trying to eliminate those things and realizing that they're just plain wrong.
Yeah. Now, Mr. America, everybody go find Auditing America, like, share, and subscribe on all platforms, Instagram, TikTok, all that other stuff. For you, too, was it one of these things that kind of built up over time to make you finally say, all right, I'm going to grab this camera and I'm going to get out there and I'm going to do something about this? Or was it like an overnight kind of thing that made you, you know, kind of jump towards that?
No, I just started watching videos like James Freeman's and other auditors, and I said, what? I have the right to go question them? So I figured it's all kind of the same way. It's like a way of protesting, you know, getting back at, like he said, you know, getting back at them for every time they fucked us over, legally and lawfully and respectfully, because I guess being annoying is not, it's not a crime, right? So we're gonna go ahead and be a little bit annoying, and until we make changes too. So
yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. It's like even this statist form of government that we have is supposed to be participatory. We're supposed to be active in that. And I think the reason why government has been, I'm never one of those people that says make America great again. I don't think America was ever great. I will say, however, that the idea of America.
I disagree right there, because I believe this, although there's a shit ton of fucked up things that are happening here, this is the country that, you know, that we live in. This is the country that we were born, and we have to love this shit, bro, regardless.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Did I vomit a little?
Well, you can love it.
You have to, bro. I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do?
Well, the thing is, and that's why
you're trying to make changes here, right? For a reason.
No,
because you want it to be good.
No. Yeah, go ahead though.
No,
I'm sorry, my signal is garbage.
If everyone starts loving each other a little bit more and stop fighting with each other, and everything's gonna be better. But we got the police attacking the citizens. We got some citizens attacking the government. It's just crazy. Some people think what we do is should be arrestable. Well, I got hundreds of comments this past 4 days of people just hating me. You saw that.
Let's talk about that a little bit, because I wanted to ask both of you guys.
Nothing.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you guys this, but before I want to talk about the bootlickers just a little bit. We'll get it out of the way, because there is something interesting to that, right? There's a certain psychology or reason for that, and I want to get you guys on it. But before we do that, CPR audits, man. Tell people about yourself, your channel, and your upcoming true crime channel.
Yeah, what do you think, CPR? What do you think, CPR?
No,
hell yeah.
I just like auditing.
Hey, I'm gonna jump out and jump back in, guys.
Oh, you're good. Well.
Yep, go ahead.
No, I started watching police videos and stuff like that, and I seen James Freeman stuff. I seen, you know, John Felix and all the other older auditors, and was like, wow, you can actually do that. You know, you can question a police officer. I never knew that. I always thought as soon as they said whatever they said, you had to do it. Everything they said is a lawful order. And I started watching other people on YouTube. James Freeman's the top one. And then especially the video of you questioning that detective out in the parking lot, asking him the same questions that they asked us.
Yeah, I gotta say, I definitely stole some of that.
That shit went super viral.
Yeah, that's an awesome viral video. I mean, everybody in the chat, I mean, I guarantee you everybody in the chat seen the video. You guys seen the video where James questions the detective in the parking lot, asks him if he's drunk, where he's been, what he's up to breathalyze him.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the title of the video is asking cops the same silly questions they ask us.
Yep.
That's so fucking funny, bro.
Yeah, the best part of that whole video is when he's like, "You, what are you doing here? This is my," and he says, "This is my property." Oh, we gotta get an edit.
Didn't you tell him?
It's my property, bitch. I'm like, yeah.
Didn't you ask him to search the patrol car and he let you?
That was a separate video. That was one of the most unbelievable videos I've ever seen. I couldn't believe James got this guy to do that. That's, you guys gotta check out James' channel's obviously in the chat, in the description. I'm gonna put it in the chat right now, and we're gonna put it up on screen and everything later. So definitely check out all of James' videos. It's fucking hilarious. The shit.
Chat don't know who James Freeman is. I don't know why they're watching us. They should have started with James Freeman.
Well, that's the beauty about people like James Freeman is he's influenced hundreds and hundreds, bare minimum, of people, and out of those hundreds of millions arise activists, and then people, it's like a new generation almost. These people get up and then they wake up other people. You know what I'm saying? And so the thing is, it doesn't even make a difference. I mean, the credit anybody should get, but James does deserve a lot of credit, because the real credit is in having these other auditors and other activists step up and do their thing, and then they get noticed. You know what I'm saying? My whole thing is we got to get a certain level of people awake to this type of stuff, and then once we get the critical mass awake, then we can kind of step forward with some type of civil disobedience or break away. I don't know, maybe we could talk about hypotheses with James. But one of the things holding us back from that are the bootlickers, the statists, the people that are, and I don't even know how much of them are bootlickers or how much of the cops or how many of these people are paid to, because I remember going back, this must have been like in 07, 08, back in the day, maybe even before that. Like when Facebook was just starting, I had to go to court for some license thing. And the case before me, there was like a 3 or 4 kids from Providence College that they get busted for underage drinking. And when the state's bringing up the evidence, they said, "Oh, Providence police was going through a Facebook event for a party," and then they went in there and they busted these kids for underage drinking. So guys, what can you guys tell me about the bootlickers, man? What the hell's going on here? Because I won't preface it any more than I already have.
What do you think, CPR?
I hate that. I'm gonna get a new catchphrase.
Yes, you need to. We need to update that.
Yep.
This motherfucker. Yo, so what do you got going on over there, CPR? Are you about to do some audits in Indiana?
Yeah, actually, I have to go do a FOIA request Monday because a homeless man beat at the Pizza King outside of it because he was resisting arrest. So yeah, lieutenant hopped out of the car, ran up, and just started punching him in the head. Boom, boom.
Oh, you know, I was in Indianapolis with CPR. This motherfucker gets illegally arrested by some crazy ass cop who's now under investigation.
Yes, James, you actually
what is it?
That video in Indianapolis about the sergeant that stomped on the guy's face,
guy's head.
Yeah, the
arresting
officer,
cop, right?
hit to the ground, and the body cam was the arresting officer that illegally arrested me for filming his arrest.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
this guy,
that sounds like a good story.
This guy rides around downtown in a bicycle, okay?
On
a bicycle. And he fucking and he just pulls up and takes as many people to jail as he can in a day. The next day we go out,
CPR,
we catch him.
I don't think that they're.
The next day we go out, we catch him fucking arresting more people, bro. Back to back, same cop.
Yep.
So he arrested CPR for recording?
Yeah, because I was too close. But in the video, he's like, I'm gonna arrest you.
Fuck. You were far.
Yeah, that's a good video.
Well, yeah, I give my phone to Enrique.
I don't think anybody's gonna. I don't think anybody's gonna care though, CPR, because you're not the right color for them to care.
Yeah.
Did I say that out loud?
You're right, but it's crazy. You sit down on a bench like with my legs crossed. Other people are walking their dog right between the. We don't care about anybody else but me filming, because I told the guy, you have the right to not say anything, all that. You know, the officer can't arrest you.
Then this motherfucker comes up to my face and starts getting aggressive towards me. I was like, what the fuck? Crazy.
Did you mace him then? No, I'm just kidding.
This guy was definitely being disorderly, that's for sure.
Yep. And then arrested me and took me in and said, next time you see an officer with a civilian, you need to mind your business, no matter what's going on, is what the officer said. And they dropped all the charges, but I was in there for about 10 hours.
How long did it take to dismiss the charges?
It took them 2 hours to dismiss the charges, and I was in there for an extra 8.
And did this happen before or after the face stomping?
This happened before, about 2 months before.
Okay. Do you know if he's even still employed after the face stomping?
Well, he wasn't the officer that did the face stomping. He was just the arresting
That
officer.
motherfucker's definitely employed. He's making,
But they all
he's making those people
lied
a
on
hell
the
lot of
report,
money.
though.
Yeah,
They all lied on their report.
Yeah, he's the one that lied on the report. Yes. Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be. I want to cover that story because that's the thing. These petty little things that we catch them doing. It's these cops that we catch doing petty stuff that are doing much, much worse stuff when our cameras aren't there.
Exactly.
Bro, literally, okay, right after he took CPR to jail, literally the next day we go out and he's arresting somebody right in front of us again. And we're like, we did the same thing again, and then CPR didn't get arrested that day. Oh, but he did get arrested the day before.
Yeah, and I was at least 15, 20 feet back. It was just, I mean,
we confronted him on that too.
I was actually going to send it to you.
Yeah.
Hey, Will.
A while back.
Sorry, go ahead, CPR.
Send it to me, man.
And Lackluster never got in touch with me. I've tried to get lawyers to look at it, and they said that I challenged the officer. Because at one point he says, if you do not get back far, like if you don't go across the street, I'm going to arrest you. I said, do it then. Just arrest me. Because I'm not going to do that unlawful order. And they said, oh, you challenged him. Well, that don't make
the lawyer said that?
If I challenge somebody in a bar to a fight, is it okay that we go outside and fight now? No. It's...
So, yeah, most lawyers are completely worthless. And, earlier when Auditing America said something about change, just so you know, I don't believe in that at all. Like 100% do not believe in making any sort of change whatsoever in the system. The only change that I ever intend to make is to make change in individual people's minds. Because statism, police brutality, all this stuff that's happening, it's really all a symptom of statism. So statism, the belief in the existence of government, is the actual problem. The belief that it should exist is the problem. All these other things are just symptoms of it. People believe that we have a right to vote and make rules, to govern other people in violation of their consent. And that's why police are just going out and enforcing that, Yep. And so I don't broadcast this in a lot of my videos, but I think I need to do it more. The problem is not really government. It's the people. It's the people that not just allow it, but actually believe it should exist. I've got this mug right here. It says, don't vote. It only encourages them.
Yeah.
If you really have rights that are natural, inherent rights, then nobody would be able to vote those rights away. Therefore, there's absolutely no vote in the world that would be important because there's no vote that could take away your natural rights or preserve them for that matter. So I don't believe in making any change in the system whatsoever.
Yeah, so that's one of the things, and you guys can go to James Freeman's merch here, and there's a whole bunch of dope stuff that you can buy. I'm gonna get this one to match my blue snapback when I go out there. But yeah, definitely check out his merch and his YouTube channel. But let's talk about that because I think.
Hey, what do you guys think about that? Is it true that Kamala Harris was president of the United States for like over an hour the other day or so, while Joe Biden was like under some sort of medical procedure?
I didn't hear about that.
I saw like, what the fuck?
I think what's crazy is that people believe in that. Like, no, nobody was ever president of anything. Like everything that they're doing, like believing in government and believing in presidents, believing in people that have a right to govern you and rule you and tell you what to do to me, it's about as crazy as believing in Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny. These people are completely, totally, and entirely insignificant. And the only thing that makes them significant is that we pretend that they are significant in some way.
Know. I know. Imagine everybody ignored them.
Yeah, that's exactly.
That'd be fucking great.
Yep. People hallucinate that they are authority, and therefore, I guess that's what makes it so.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'd love to send you that video and you give me your thoughts on it, because I don't know if I was a little too rowdy in the video or what.
I'll check it out. Send it to my email, man. Do you have my email?
No, I do not. What would that be?
RealJamesFreeman@gmail.
James Freeman.
RealJamesFreeman@gmail.
Real James.
Yeah, I didn't used to show other people's videos because years and years ago, when we started sharing each other's. What's that?
I said, you don't have to show it. I just wanted your feedback. I think you're one of the legends, and
yeah. Well,
really
I do share videos now, so.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Well, it is good. I think it is a good thing to do, to share videos. I know there's haters in the movement that might call you out on a thing or turn their back on you and hit you with a strike or whatever. And we've had that happen to us or whatever. But it's important to showcase other people and also kind of diagnose and analyze the situation that's going on there. Even your own videos. People have been telling me to do that for a long time. It kind of just go through your videos, talk about what's going on a little bit, and it's awesome. It's actually something to do because you don't always get that context, especially the new people that are coming into this. That's what we're trying to break it down for.
Yes, because a lot of people just genuinely don't comprehend what's going on, and that's okay. They've just never been told. It's never been explained to them in that way. They've never seen it from this perspective or that perspective. So yeah. I think it's important to take that stuff and review it and say, hey, this is what I see. Because, for example, like I said, I see things that a lot of people just don't see it that way. Like that there's this president who gets to make dictates and shit. I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? I don't think this guy exists.
Yep.
It's interesting to see all of this occurring now. I always thought that the government would come crashing down on us really bad, but I didn't think it would be for 20, 30 years in the future. And then we had the whole events, and I don't mind if you guys swear, just don't talk about the certain words here. The events of the last couple of years, because otherwise we won't get this out to anybody, but the events of the last couple of years really show what you guys were doing was true. And then you have the people still supporting the cops after that, which is really weird, but
the irony of statism too, right? The people who I think that it's a generalization, but I think that leftists are a lot more willing to accept that police are corrupt and do horrible things than right wingers are. Is that at least somewhat fair? Do you guys think?
It's true. And I was in DC for January 6th, and a couple 2 weeks before that, for a few different protests. But before that, there was a Proud Boys rally and stuff like that. And for the first time,
some kind of gay thing?
Oh yeah,
it was some kind of gay pride thing. Okay.
It was a LARP convention. It was it was basically a massive LARP. A bunch of, and that's what it is. That's literally what it is. And everybody's talking about Kyle. I'm going to shift gears here. Everyone's talking about Kyle Rittenhouse and all that other stuff. But the skit, and I'm glad that I don't think he did anything wrong. I think he acted in self-defense. But also he will forever have he'll forever be known, and for better. Some people will love him, think he's a hero. Some people are going to hate him for the rest of his life.
Yep.
And it's all because he was a brainwashed bootlicker statist, right? And he wouldn't even been there if he and I feel bad because he was a kid, so that's another reason I felt really bad for him. But that's what you have. You have these people, because the government does all this atrocious stuff. Then instead of, and I'm not a fan of preemptive violence, but instead of fighting the government nonviolently, they dress. Not only do they fight each other, but they dress up in dumbass costumes to fight each other. It's so weird. And I did think though that when some of the events of what's going on with January 6th and stuff like that, I did witness a lot of so-called right-wingers destroyed blue line flags, and that they
Yeah.
were, and they were saying, "You're the standing army." I witnessed over the course of 3 weeks in DC that not all. There were still people after the cops punched them in the face and maced them and stuck up for Antifa. They were like, "Thank you for your service. You protect me." I'm like, "Oh, thank you." I'm like, "You guys are crazy, dog." And so that's what we're dealing with, that level of brainwashing. And I don't know how they do it, guys, but it is really crazy, because even another example of this is, which I'm going to be careful about saying, is my grandma's an ultra devout Catholic, and she texts me all the time, the family group chat, "Pray for the aborted kids, pray for the aborted kids, pray for the aborted kids." And then she's asking me if I took the magic wizard potion. And I said, "Well, Grandma, I also believe in a God, not necessarily the biblical God, but I believe there's something higher, something maybe bigger than me. I'm not sure about that, but who knows, right? And then if that happened, who created God? I don't know. That's above my pay grade." But I couched it in that phrasing to my grandma, and I said, "Well, because they test this using aborted fetal cells, I couldn't ethically do that, Grams." And then she doesn't bat an eye. And then she's old, but she's not forgetting stuff old. You know what I'm saying? She's coherent. She's well better put together than Joe Biden. And she doesn't even, and she asked me next, "Hey, will you get in that?" And I'm like, what? Why is the brainwashing, guys, so thick? Because I honestly thought we were destroying the media government narrative, at least in 2015, 2016. And then this, and then the whole pandemic thing, it's just like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's the thing, though, is that I don't think that a lot of people were realizing that some things are going wrong, but they weren't being introduced to voluntarism. They weren't being introduced to the root of the problem. So again, people were addressing that there's problems within the police departments. The courts are corrupt, the police are corrupt, but they failed to really realize what the root of the problem was, and that it's statism, and that it's actually me, and it was you. And it was, it was each and every one of us. And until we withdraw ourselves, I can't change anybody in this world. The only person I can change is me. All I can do is stop trying to control my neighbor, right, through the force of government. And so I think the problem was that people were really missing the fundamental point of what's really going wrong. Does that make sense? And I think that's why, as soon as this thingy started, a lot of these people who were watching my content unsubscribed because I wouldn't wear a bitch muzzle, and I wouldn't submit. And I'm going, man, you're complete idiots. What do you think I was trying to teach you for the last 3 or 4 years? Like,
I want to compliment you, James, because not only was that video that you did with, and everyone go check that out. That's one of the few videos that video, the video where Alex Jones becomes a Super Saiyan. There's a few videos, if I'm having a bad day, I can put those on and I'll watch those, and I'm like, all right, things aren't that bad. Everything's gonna be okay, right? So, but my favorite part of that video wasn't just the education and the entertainment, was how in your videos you slip in things from Larkin Rose and stuff like that. You're pilling people too at the same time, which I think is even more important. And because the way it is on my channel, like even this video right now, we got a lot of people watching because we got Auditing America and James Freeman here, of course. But if I was outside and the thumbnail was a cop, and then it said James Freeman Auditing America, this have 1 billion views, right? So part of the reason I try to do as many audits as I can, because it drives people to the other information as well too. And I try to sprinkle in, when I get on Auditing America's channel, man, I'm like, all right, this might be an audit of a post office, but I'm going to sprinkle as much shit in as I possibly can. Y'all are going to get it. So James, thank you for that. But let's tell people, because James, what is voluntarism? And maybe you can address a few of the things. Maybe I can play a status for you. We can role play no homo. And I'll be like, well, what about who's going to save me when this happens? You know what I'm saying? And guys, while James explains the non-aggression principle and voluntarism, and I'm caffeinated, so I'll try not to interrupt, put 1 in the chat if you've heard of the concept of voluntarism, 2 if you have not. But James, please go ahead.
So Man, one of the big things too, let me say this up front, is over the last few years, I've noticed that everybody wants to change definitions all over the place. So at one point I was like, oh, okay, I'm a libertarian because I was told that libertarians believe in this non-aggression principle thing. And then I find out, well, I'm seeing what libertarians and the libertarian party actually does. And I'm going, all right, well, they're actually violating the non-aggression principle. So I guess I'm a voluntarist. So whether you, I mean, I guess that these are the best labels to put on us, but to me, what it means is that you, the non-aggression principle means that you do not initiate force against another individual to take life, liberty, or property. It does not mean that you do not defend yourself against those who initiate force against you to take life, liberty, and property. Now, a lot of people who are constitutionalists, they do get pretty close to this because I think that the founders of the US were really, really, really close to voluntarism. And I think that they got as close as they could at the time because I don't think anybody was ready for it at that time. And I think that when they founded the United States, they did the absolute best they could and gave the absolute maximum freedom they possibly could that people would accept, because I don't think people would have accepted full freedom.
It's like Back to the Future. You guys not ready for this, but your kids are going to love it. And that's what I would talk about with America in general. Like, yeah, it was never necessarily great or whatever, or, you know, great's a term too we could define. You know what I'm saying? Was it great compared to Mao? Was it great compared to Pol Pot? Sure, of course. But it was the best step in the right direction we've ever had. And I think this is so. This is the next level, what James is talking about now.
Right. And so you got to take steps, right? And so I think that was a very, very good step. But you and I both know that the Constitution did and does violate the consent of individuals. They even talked about, you know, that government exists by the consent of the governed. If you really think about it,
second paragraph right there.
Yeah,
that you guys read we just only read the first two paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence. They're very illuminating.
Yeah. So I don't know how many people in this room actually consented to being arbitrarily governed by somebody else, but I did not. And so I guess it's skimming the surface. That's kind of the gist of it. That, you know, we don't have a right to initiate force against others. And so what it really comes down to after that is taking and applying it to everyday life. Because, you know, in theory, it sounds wonderful. But once you start applying it in life, what I started realizing is I violate people's consent all the time. I've been indoctrinated to believe in this statism stuff. And so I've been okay with violating people's consent. So then it comes down... Sorry, is my signal still up? Changing the way that I view everything, I guess. Maybe we can go into a few examples. What are some of the ways
that you violated people's consent?
I participated in government. Now, the government exists not by the consent of the people. And so by simply going out and voting for, say, a mayor of my town, that mayor and the city council, they are going to implement rules called statutes and not statutes. What do they call it on the municipal level? The magical codes. Codes. Is that what it is?
I believe so.
Like codes.
So yeah. So they'll go out and they'll create these magical laws and they'll control my neighbor with them. So by me simply even participating in the system, I'm consenting to my neighbor being harmed. Through their arbitrary rules. Other ways, I didn't understand that. I mean, taxation, I always believed that it's the price that we pay to live in a civilized society. But you don't get to consent or give or remove your consent to taxation. That's just, if that's the case, it wouldn't be called taxation. It would be called donation. And because of the fact that you don't get the right, or you're not allowed to give or revoke your consent, it violates the non-aggression principle. It's literally stealing. And whether I'm doing it myself or I'm consenting to somebody else called a politician or an IRS or a police officer or whoever it is that's doing the theft, just by me consenting to someone doing that to my neighbor, I am violating the non-aggression principle. And, you know, this is the thing, is that these aggressions have been done through this magical entity called government. So I understand, and I think that everyone here probably understands that it would not be okay for me to go over to Mike's house, knock on his door, say, hey man, you got to give me $100. And Mike will say, well, why? Well, you know what? I'm going to take it and I'm going to do good stuff for you and our community. Maybe let's just say lawn mowing, for example. Like that's one business that I cannot go around and force it on my neighbors, right? Say, hey, you are going to pay me and I am going to mow your lawn. You do not get any, you do not get any consent to this.
Yeah, exactly. The only difference is government comes up, knocks on your door, points a gun at your face and says, I'm going to mow your lawn, and then takes that money and doesn't mow your lawn. And then they use it to bottom brown kids and to take the roots away. So it's absolutely ridiculous.
Their rationale, though, for stealing, their rationale is always that they're going to do something good for you with what they're stealing from you. That's always the rationale, and I think that's why people accept it. You know, it's the same reason as the rationale for why you have to take a poke and put on a muzzle, and well, for safety, it's for good. You know, they always try to dress it up as something good, but wrong is wrong. Okay, you know, stealing is wrong. And I don't care what good ideas you have in your heart to use that money for, it's wrong.
Well, what about the roads?
You know,
what about roads, James?
I don't like roads, man.
Let me tell you, James, one of the things I always point status to when they ask me about the roads, which always seems to be the first question, not anything else, but the roads. There's a dope ass road from the peninsula of the tip of Virginia, and it goes 17 miles to Virginia Beach. And it wasn't created by the government. It's a private road, and they built it and they upkeep it. And the government, all they do anyways is they just pay somebody else to make the damn road. But what are some of the common things that people will say? Well, what about this? What about that?
So that's the thing, is that when we really get into it, we're talking about real life situations, and this is not a fairy tale. So we need real life solutions. You know, before taxation was used to allegedly build roads, and let's be honest, actually, most of the taxation they take that they say is for roads, they don't use it for roads. You know, pre-taxation, roads were built by people like you and me. It was built because it was built by businesses, for example. I build a business and I want you to be able to access it so that you will spend your money with me. So I build a nicer road to my business to make it easier for you to get there. When there's a need for something, people will build it and create it. And you don't have to use violence to achieve that. You know, one of the analogies that I like to use, because everybody knows that it's not okay to have sex with someone without their consent, right? And we've been so indoctrinated into this status belief that we can't have the nice things that we have, like roads, unless we force people to give us money to make them. But, you know, there's a lot of other good things. Some people think that we should, if we don't reproduce and have children, then our society will cease to exist, right? We have to our society has to reproduce and make more children in order for it to continue on. Therefore, you know, women shouldn't be able to consent to sex, right? Because it's essential for our society to thrive. Like, this is absolute, right? It's absolute insanity.
Yeah,
absolute insanity. But and you know, if we go back a few hundred years, we'd realize, no, we do have roads. Why would we need to steal from people to create these things? Like, no, why would we need to violate people's consent to have these things? No, you're creating the exact opposite of a civilized society. You are literally doing something completely uncivilized, and that is the basis of your society.
And not only is it not civilized when you have all these violations of your rights, you have the NSA spying, the illegal wars, more than half of our budget goes to the military-industrial complex, and then the damn roads in the first place. First of all, you're taxed on the roads, then the roads suck. Then they come up with tolls, and then the roads still suck, and it's crazy. I wanted to talk to you too about lawyers. You know, I agree with you. Most lawyers out there are are absolute trash. I think there's a few good ones. I haven't found any, not at least not where I'm from. Rhode Island is not like Texas, where there's still some people that have a semblance of freedom, the archetype of it, or the maybe a misconstrued idea. But so, and I think in general. But what would you tell people, even like myself, to do? I mean, I still got a couple cases over my head for disturbing the peace and disorderly conduct. I've first went the route of a public defender because I don't really have money for a lawyer. And I said, hey, this is what I want to do. I have to have a trial by jury because, hey, everybody here in Rhode Island knows me. The judges are politically appointed and they don't like me. And they try to dissuade me. They say I waived my rights to do that. They sent me to a court-appointed lawyer. I told them, yeah, I need a trial by jury. I just want you to do this just to see anyways. You know what I'm saying? What would happen? And I guess I wanted to procrastinate the whole situation because I didn't want to deal with it. But, you know, I've talked to a lot of different people. Some people say, well, what's your take, James? What do you think the best thing to do is? Because this situation is kind of fucked, and I feel like they're pushing back against auditors too, let alone the general populace.
Yeah. Yeah. So I like Mark Stevens' approach to it. And because at the very, very, very least, what Mark Stevens will tell you is that you already lost. Okay. If their courts, their system, everything about what they're doing is completely and totally illegitimate in the first place. It's just threats of violence. You know, it's no different than if the mafia comes around and makes arbitrary rules and says, hey, you know, you have to close your bar by 10 o'clock at night for whatever reason. And if you don't do it, they're going to come and do violent stuff to you. Right. It's no different. So I think first off, people make the mistake of thinking that this is in some way legitimate. But once you realize it's not legitimate, you realize that you're losing no matter what. Okay. Once you're in their system, you've already lost. Every time you go to court, you're spending your time, your money, your effort. You're not getting paid. They are. Okay. So even if you get an acquittal after 2 years of fighting and you know, charges are dismissed or whatever, or you're found not guilty, you didn't win. All right. You wasted your time, money, effort, and energy in their bullshit system, and they all made a profit off of it. And so once you realize that, then I think that it's a little bit easier to kind of wrap your head around, okay, how do I want to attack this? Because
so talk about that. Yeah.
Goal,
because this is a damned if you do, damned if you don't type of situation. So how would you approach that?
Right. And then in that case, it's each individual person's, you know, what is your goal? What do you want to accomplish? If you think you're going to accomplish hope and change, then you might as well just throw that in the toilet because that doesn't exist. Okay. But if your goal is to go through this whole system to show other people, to document it on YouTube or whatever, and show other people that it's bullshit, then I'd say that, you know, to me, that would be worth my time. And I've done that before. You know, I've spent my time going through the system, having charges dismissed, spending tens of thousands of dollars, tons of time to show people that it's bullshit. But if when I'm not doing something to broadcast it on YouTube and show people, usually I try to minimize the damages by saying, okay, how much is the fine? The truth is, it's a threat of violence for money. That's all it is. Okay. And so I just call it what it is and say, okay, how much money do I need to give you for you to stop threatening my life and my family and my livelihood? And to me, now this is just my personal opinion, but to me, that's really the biggest win would be to point that out, that you're not legitimate. You're just threatening me for money. And you know what? I'm not a thug like you. I'm not willing to put a bullet in your head to defend myself for it. You want a few bucks? Here's some money. You know, now get out of here, you thug, and I'll see you next time, you know, it comes extortion time.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it is. I think you're right. I think that's the best approach. Because in my personal time too, like I have this thing where I see the cops, and before I used to get really scared, you know what I'm saying? Before I knew my rights and all this stuff. And sometimes I still do get scared. I mean, 2 Sundays ago, I was filming cops in Boston. I was assaulted by the captain twice, and then he assaults me, crazy shit. Then they all jump on me, and it's not a cool position to be in, right? And So I'll tell you what, I do not like being a cage. That's one of the worst feelings in the world. Even if it's a holding cell for a few hours, it's the most oh my God. I don't even honestly wish that on my worst enemies. Like maybe for 5 or 10 years, Hillary Clinton, yeah, and then we can just like expunge them from society. Sure, the Bushes go for a few years, but I honestly think extended stays in prison for anybody is cruel and unusual punishment. Call me a liberal there, but it's just sick. I mean, at least the way it's done, and it's really, really sad. Honestly, like I don't know if you guys have heard of. James? Have you heard about Rise of the Moors?
Isn't that like what they call the sovereign citizen movement or something?
In a way, yes.
What the government calls the sovereign citizen movement?
Yes, exactly. So there's an offshoot here where it's like an offshoot on the original Moors, and basically one of my friends out here, Jamal and his boys. Jamal is a veteran before he woke up. His father was an Air Force veteran, has no criminal record, and he was traveling up the 4th of July weekend from Rhode Island to Maine to go hunting, fishing, 4th of July type shit. You know what I'm saying? And they get pulled over, and they call it an armed standoff. The only people that had their arms pointed at anybody were the Massachusetts State Police. It was crazy because then it blew up. There was like 18-hour so-called standoff just because these guys were traveling up. They had weapons on them. They were within their legal rights. I mean, to have that. And next thing you know, it's all over the New York Times stuff. This isn't, you know what, James, I really wish you would review this one on your channel. They have, and this is one of the weirdest things I've ever saw. I went to court for one of these. They have an established probable cause. I've actually never heard of it until this case. They held them originally for 180 days on dangerousness. I never even heard of this idea. Despite having a criminal record, that just because the state, a judge deems you dangerous, they can hold you for up to 180 days. I never even knew that was a thing. And then after 180 days, they still yet to establish any probable cause. A new judge comes in and they says, I think you're dangerous. Here's another 180 days. And they're locked up right now. This guy has a newborn daughter. It's absolutely crazy. And I think that's just exemplary of all of what's going on in general. Like times are probably the at least in my lifetime, probably the craziest they've ever been and the worst they've ever been. What do you two think about the future of all this? Do you think we're going to get some relenting? Do you think they're going to push things too far? Like, what do you guys see happening? I mean, we got Biden. I have no idea, man. I honestly, the events of the last couple of years really changed my perception of everything. That I never.
Mine too.
Yeah, I mean, I never in a million years thought that we would be living under this right now. And in a way, too, because humans are extremely adaptive, and I've almost adapted to this. And I don't have the same claustrophobic feeling I first had when this all went down. So what do you guys see as the future, the near and the long-term future of all this? Because it's something I've never could have guessed on ever.
It's going to get worse before it gets better. That's for sure. It's going to get way worse, I think, in the next few years. I think it's going to get to the point to where people are going to have to come to the decision whether they want to lose all of their freedoms or stand up. And that's eventually what I think it's going to get to. I don't know what you guys think about it. But I mean, yeah, all the law, now they're trying to make it to where filming cops might be illegal now, that they're trying to do in certain states, which is, I mean, completely crazy. I think I heard that they were trying to do that in Mesa, Arizona. I think DirectD was saying something about that. Mm-hmm. And it's just, Mesa is horrible for filming.
Mesa's you know what? And thanks to James, I would have just thought Mesa's a cool spot on the map. You know what I'm saying? Because of James' videos, I want to go out there. I mean, it's insane what they do out there. It's enraging. So yeah, James, what about that? And what do you think the future holds for us?
Yeah, my view changed a lot over the last 1 or 2 years also. With this whole thing that happened, I'll tell you what, I've turned bitter, honestly. I've turned quite bitter. Again, I was trying to show people things over the last few years, and then to see a huge chunk of my audience just submit and comply and say, "Oh, my safety, my safety." I've just turned bitter to the point where I give zero fucks. I look forward to Democrats and Republicans massacring each other. I look forward to riots in the streets. I look forward to cities burning down. Not because I really want to see destruction, but gosh, I think it's become perfectly clear after you show people, look, this is what's going on. You have to stand and defend your rights. They will use the same plays over and over, fear, 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 to take away your rights. And then to watch everyone, almost everyone, just completely forget in an instant because they got scared. It got me to the point that I don't give a fuck. I want to, we can't rebuild a civilized society until all of these uncivilized people just wipe each other out. So there's my there's my dark opinion.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, James, I'm known to be an unflinching optimist. I'm known to be an unflinching optimist. And then when this all first started happening, I think it was the third day I did a video, and by that third day, I was like, you know what? I kind of had an epiphany. I was like, we're not going back. We're never going back after this now. We let the door open a little bit. Even these 3 days, they're like, well, we're just not going to overcrowd the hospitals. Okay, so let's shut down every other single business. Okay, weird. Let's shut down the churches and the gyms should have stayed open. If you believe in God, you should. If it's a black plague, you should be going to church to pray, right? You should be working out. You should be staying. This is like common sense shit. In the same parking lot, McDonald's will be open 24 hours. And then I got not only be open 24 hours while the gym in the background is closed, but there was one business in DC when I was down in that trip over there. Shout outs to Ollie's Trolley. Some of the best cheeseburgers I ever had. I'm not getting paid from. And their fries, they have different spices on them, right? So they could have stopped at 23 different motherfucking spices on those fries. Go down to Ollie's Trolley. And you know what I love about Ollie's Trolley? They're not Democrat, they're not Republican. They're just pro-business. They say, we're going to serve you. We don't care if you're wearing this or that. We're going to be open all the time. And I got a video where cops trying to shut down Ollie's Trolleys. I'm like, take your ass to McDonald's first. Take your ass to McDonald's and then close down McDonald's first. And then you can come over here and then fine, I'll shut the fuck up. And then you close this business down too. So when that all happened, I was really feeling claustrophobic. I was really feeling like overwhelmed by all this shit. And then it kind of subsided for a little while. And then when Biden came out with his thing where he's going to try to mandate all that stuff, I got overwhelmed all over again, and maybe even worse. And so for a couple of weeks there, I was taking the black pill. But then I talked to Yeah Right the Matrix, and he's everyone go like, share, and subscribe. Yeah Right the Matrix Rebirth. He's had about 20 channels taken down legit. He's like the OG truther out here. And he's like, you know what? The good thing is, Will, nobody is going back to sleep. Nobody's going back to sleep. And thanks to CPR and James's efforts, we are waking people up. So in my estimation, I went back to being an optimist, but I'm much more guarded. I think that people like you guys are waking people up. I'm just wondering, hoping it's going to be in enough time that we can do a few things. CPR, I have quite a few questions for James, but I know his time is precious. If you want, you can ask a couple questions that you got there, and I'll open up to the comments if you guys want to ask a couple questions. And then if anybody wants to join up, James can stick around if he feels like it. If not, and then James too, definitely. The thing with porn bombing, right? I just got to make sure they show their face first backstage on StreamYard, right? Because I don't want to get porn bombed. How do I deflect? How do I beat porn bombing? Because I do want to open it up because people have been asking all these great questions and stuff. But
are you asking me how to beat porn bombing?
How? Yeah. Do you have a technique to beat porn bombing? I don't know.
Oh no. I don't know. I can't even run a live stream like this because I don't have good enough internet. I don't think. I always have to be a guest.
Okay. Weird. Okay. So we're gonna have to. Yeah, it sucks. Some of the.
I'm just hoping we see some I'm hoping we see some dick tonight, Mike.
Well, I'll tell you what.
Wait, we don't want.
We don't.
Okay.
No, that's right. That's the opposite.
My bad.
All right, so I'm gonna put
Wrong
the
show.
I'm gonna put the StreamYard link out to you guys. You guys enjoy, but show me your face, or if I don't know you, or something like that, or your dick, or your tits, or something like that, and then we'll establish that you're not a porn bomber. So, and James, thank you very much. I'm gonna put up while CPR is talking. I'm gonna put up James's channel, as you can see here. I've subscribed, link the bell. Tell people what they can get for joining, besides partaking in your just your videos for free. And also, guys, definitely go to the About section on James's page. It's really dope. This is where you can buy his merch.
No.
This is where his merch was that I was showing you. And I'm gonna buy, I think, the blue one. By the way, can you switch that color to red? Can I switch that color to red on that thing, or?
Yeah, I think I made just about every color that Teespring makes available. I think I made all of them available.
All right,
anything that will actually show up, because if it's white lettering, then I would not make it available on a white shirt. But other than that,
yeah. And so
and don't click on the legal services. But that's where that's coming from. Those legal services. Don't click on that. That's garbage.
Okay,
I thought I had deleted that.
Okay, go back and delete that. Yeah, I realized on my shit, I have my social media, and my boy told me, yo, all those pages you had were deleted, dog. So they're all dead links. So I had to go back and check them out. And this is just really cool. Before I let CPR give some questions here. James Freeman does First Amendment audits, cop watching, cop blocking more. Since live PD and cops is canceled, James Freeman does live streaming cop watches. It's like live PD, except actually live and without the cops can do no wrong bias. Actually, they're bringing cops back now. And on the little trailer, it shows like a cop running after, just beating the shit out of somebody. It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Dude?
You know, I'm kind of looking forward to them bringing it back because, again, I think that it's, I've gotten to a point where I want to just take and watch videos and analyze it and talk about it from my perspective. And so I think that it's fair use if I take all of this cops footage where they're trying to make it seem like it's okay for cops to chase people down and beat the shit out of them for having marijuana, and put my perspective, use their footage, their work, and put my perspective on it. Exactly. I'd also like to sell blue line shirts to cop lovers so that, you know, they're going to wear a blue line shirt. You know, that's not going to change. I would love to be the one to sell it to them and use that money to spread the word that cops are thugs, you know? Anyways.
No, yeah, absolutely, man. We go to judo against these fools for sure. CPR, I just put the link in the chat. CPR, do you have any questions? If not, I got like 15 questions. But I'm not going to get through them all.
Have you ever done a video that actually like helped exonerate somebody or like from their charges or anything like that?
To be honest with you, I have no idea because I don't follow up on most stuff. And the reason is because, like I've told you guys, that most people don't understand. I don't believe in hope and change. And so I kind of just want to show the event of what happened. But let me think. Video that exonerated somebody. You know, there's one that it didn't necessarily exonerate him. There's this officer in Albuquerque. Actually, how could I forget his name? It's Officer Corona. And I recorded him making an arrest on some guy who had warrants for actual crimes. By the way, he did take property, an armed burglary, I believe, or at least alleged. You know, he hadn't been convicted yet. So yeah, they're making an arrest on a guy who's accused of a burglary. And during the arrest, the guy beats his own face into a fence and then beats his own face into the ground. And with the number of times that cops will beat people's face into a fence and then beat their face into a ground and then say, "Oh no, he did it." You know, I was there with a camera up close because they didn't tell me to get back. And I was less than 10 feet away, had a perfect shot of everything that happened. That shows Officer Corona pulling him away from the fence so he wouldn't beat his face on the fence. And then as he's trying to beat his face on the ground, Officer Corona sacrificed his own hand, you know, to keep this guy from beating his face into the ground.
I remember the video now, actually. Yep, I think I remember that. And they put didn't they put a bag over his head or something? They put a spit.
Yeah, it's like basically like a sparring helmet, almost like a padded sparring helmet. So it's not, you know, I thought it was a pretty decent solution for a problem like that, because a lot of times they'll put stuff over you that's like totally restrictive. It'll cause people to have panic attacks and or stop breathing, and so yeah, they put the special helmet on him.
Yep. Okay, I remember that video now. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, you know, with everything that's going on, I think people are slowly but surely waking up. It's tough, and that's why the censorship is crazy, and people aren't able to get their message out as easily.
Mm-hmm.
Where are other platforms that we can find you on, James, too? Because, and also the fucked up part about all of this is all the new platforms they create are not free speech or become echo chambers anyways.
Right.
So what are your thoughts on that? You know, oh, by the way, anybody out in the chat, if you're a coder or if you're a graphic designer, hit me up. I got a blockchain project. People say it's a pie in the sky, but it's at least better than that we got. But yeah, James, what do you think we can do to kind of beat the censorship that's going on?
Man, you know, it's gotten worse over the last 1 or 2 years, but to some extent, we've always dealt with some level of censorship on both YouTube and Facebook. It's gotten extreme over the last year or two. I don't even really use alternative platforms because, yeah, like you said, either there's not much of an audience to reach because there just isn't enough people there, or it ends up being a platform where it's already 100% libertarian or 100% anarchist or 100% Democrat or 100% Republican. And so again, they become echo chambers, right? And so I still stick to the main platforms that reach an audience, which is YouTube and Facebook. And I essentially try to tailor my message so that it doesn't get censored. And the truth is that people are going to have to, you can teach the principles of liberty. All right. That doesn't necessarily get censored, but you can't say that specific things are tyranny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There are specific things that you cannot point out that are tyranny. And so the people who are going to get it are going to get it when we talk about the principles of liberty. And we don't need to specifically talk about.
Sometimes they're even better. And you guys should check out James Freeman on Facebook too. Follow him over there. A lot of dope memes. You got to do an Instagram where you just do a whole bunch of dope memes, because that, you know, memes are a great way to wake people up. You can kind of quantify a lot of information. People aren't reading articles. They're not going to watch a long format YouTube video. They're not even going to be able to seek it out. But if it happens to scroll past them online, they're going to be like, oh, weird. This is pretty interesting. And so I agree with you. That's why I'm, even after I've got banned on these platforms multiple times, I still come back to YouTube, and because that's where the people are. That's where the people are that we have to reach. So I couldn't agree with you more. Hey, CPR, any final points? How can people find you? What's going on in the future of constitutionally protected rights?
In the future, hopefully here soon, I actually can fly to you and we can do some audits around there. Also,
thing that sucks, man, is I'm working a job Monday through Friday right now, man, and I have to pay the bills, and it sucks because Mr. America was just out here for like a week or two, and we could only do a handful of videos. We got a cool video coming at the naval yard up here and stuff like that. There's always stuff you can do, and we're gonna have to, but it just sucks, man, because I'm in this circle of like, okay, go get a job, and then okay, I want to do these videos. So I'm trying to, now that I've finally, I made 10,000 on my new channel. Yay. Now I'm going to open up a strictly audits channel where I can try to just live monetarily off of that so I can finance myself. And I've got a couple projects that I'm working on, but it just sucks. I mean, this is actually a pretty decent job too, you know, but I don't want to fucking work a job. I want to be doing better, more effective stuff. So, but speaking of that, CPR, how can people find you and donate to you? And yeah, we will still set it up, man. We'll still do it, but it's just going to be after the 9-5.
Yeah, no, you can find me on TikTok, YouTube, and I honestly don't have any way to get donations unless you just send them on YouTube, I guess. But I don't even think I haven't even went live yet. So.
Well, go live, and people, guys, go to CPR Audit's channel, like, share, and subscribe. And he's also going to have a true crime channel coming out very soon too that he's been working on. That I've recently not been to. Historically, I haven't been really interested into it, but I read this book called Program to Kill. And in that book, and there's a YouTube series too, which is really awesome. Check that out, guys. And it basically talks about how these killers, they all have ties with the cops, the government, Satanists, occultists, and other people and the other wizards that we talk about. So it's very interesting. And one of the things I've learned since getting into true crime is all these damn cold cases, the cops, they never do shit. It's always a unrelenting family member, or they hire a public investigator. A recent study surveyed over 50 years of police data showed that they don't solve 96% of major crimes. That's the reason they're there. They take an oath to uphold the Constitution. They kill that, and they kill at least 6 people every day, according to statistics that we know. Probably more like 7. That's far more than they supposedly do good. So, okay, sorry. James, how can people find you? Any final points? How can people donate to you, man? I really want people to donate to you, especially because this guy is legit one of the legends here. And I'm very honored that he was, he even took the time out to come and do the show. I've been harassing him for years to do a live stream. But, you know, somebody like James, he gets, I mean, even me with my small reach, and just by basically being virtual and auditing America, I get tons of messages all the time from different people. I cannot even imagine what James Freeman his inbox must look like from the admirers and the bootlickers alike. I wake up every morning to good and bad comments, which is fun. But yeah, James, any final points, and how can people help you out and find you on all platforms?
The only 2 platforms I'm on. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, there we go. My mic went, or my headphones went out. The only 2 places you can find me is YouTube and Facebook, and I hate Facebook, but I'm on there. Actually, I'm on Library also. It's automatically synced. A Library is also known as Odyssey. Yeah, I don't have anywhere to donate, but I make money off of merch, so that way you can get a you know, instead of just donating, you can get something, you know, for your money, like one of those awesome shirts that says "Don't vote." It only encourages them.
Yeah, guys, everyone check out James' merch. The link is right here on his YouTube channel. Like, share, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Give him a comment to help the algorithm. Let him know good old fake Michael sent you, and you know, buy some merch. I'm actually gonna purchase some merch. I think I'll get the red hoodie instead. You know, that's what I've tried to do over the last couple of years is, you know, I like Nike, I like polo shit, right? But it would be much better if I could just buy and support my people, you know what I'm saying, and wear their stuff. So I wear a mix of both. People just get me the same clothes I've been wearing since I was 12 years old for Christmas, and when I get clothes, people are like, we're wearing the same damn outfit all the time. Yeah, I don't give a fuck. Who cares? This is not a fashion show, bitches. But yeah, guys, thank you so much. CPR artists, thank you for coming on. And especially James, very much appreciate you coming on. Anytime you're up in the fucking East Coast, Northeast, man, love to do an audit with you. Fucking anything I can do. I know I don't have as much power as you do, but anything I can do to help, I will most assuredly do that, man. You need me to share a video, you need me to freaking help build some shit on your property, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, just let me know. I'm at your service, guys. Everyone go over to James Freeman, show him mad love. He's a fucking legend in this bitch. And guys, that's what I do, man. I'm out here, I'm doing my activism, but I also bring you the best motherfucking people out here, man. And I'm gonna keep doing that. So you guys keep trucking, get out there, use the Socratic method, be nonviolent, get off your ass this weekend and this week, and do one thing, do one motherfucking thing. And then come back on my next stream that we do. Tell me what you did, and I'm gonna be kicking it here. Thanks to James Freeman, CPR Audits, and your boy with the snapback and a fake mic. Oh yeah, real news. Peace out, guys.